You wake up before the alarm rings. The room feels familiar, but something is wrong. The walls are painted the same faded blue. The ceiling fan still makes that strange clicking sound every few seconds. Your school bag is sitting beside the desk exactly where you left it years ago. You reach for your phone expecting dozens of unread emails and work messages, but instead, you find an old, cracked phone. Then you look at the screen. The date stops your heart. You are 18 years old again. At first, you think it is a dream. Then you walk into the bathroom and stare into the mirror. The tired eyes are gone. The wrinkles have disappeared. You look younger, but every memory is still inside your mind. Every mistake returns to you. Every dollar you wasted. Every investment you ignored. Every opportunity you were too afraid to take. Suddenly you realize you have been given another chance. Your parents call you for breakfast. They look younger too. Your father smiles before leaving for work. Your mother reminds you not to be late for school. You suddenly remember every argument you once had with them. This time, you say nothing. You simply watch them because you know one day these ordinary mornings become the memories you would give anything to experience again. School feels different now. Everyone around you is worried about grades, popularity, and fitting in, but you already know how most of their stories end. Some will become successful, some will disappear forever, some will spend years chasing things that never truly mattered. For the first time, you understand something nobody teaches in school. The future is never built by the smartest person in the room. It is built by the one who keeps making the right decisions long after everyone else stops trying. Before the first class even begins, you make one silent promise to yourself. You will never waste another dollar trying to impress people who will not even remember your name 10 years from now. Before we go any further, I want you to make one promise. If somewhere in this story you recognize yourself, do not wait until the end. Subscribe now because the next few minutes might completely change the way you think about money. And while you are watching, tell me one thing in the comments. If you could wake up at 18, again, what is the first financial mistake you would never repeat? The next morning, you open a brand new notebook, but instead of writing class notes, you begin writing something nobody else can understand. Companies that will one day dominate the world. Technologies people are laughing at today. Cities where property prices will explode. Skills that will replace entire careers. You cannot tell anyone what you know because they would think you have lost your mind. So you carry the greatest advantage in the world completely alone. Then you discover something that changes everything. The hardest part is not knowing the future. The hardest part is waiting for it. You already know which opportunities will change your life, but today you have almost no money to act on them. Less than $50 sit inside your account. A year ago, that number would have filled you with fear. Today, it gives you clarity, because you finally understand that wealth is almost never created by one big decision. It is built by thousands of small decisions repeated long after the excitement disappears. Your friends invite you out every Friday night. They laugh when you say no. They tell you life is too short to think about money. Years ago, those words convinced you. This time, they sound completely different. You realize something most people never see. They confuse spending with living. They chase temporary excitement while quietly sacrificing permanent freedom. You smile politely and walk home alone. Every evening becomes a quiet investment in your future. While everyone else scrolls for entertainment, you study how money actually works. Every book teaches you something that your future has already confirmed. Every hour compounds. Every lesson compounds. Every skill compounds. One evening, your father quietly walks into your room. He notices another finance book on your desk. He smiles and asks why someone your age spends every night studying money instead of enjoying life. You look at him for a moment because the real answer is impossible to explain, Because I do not want to spend the rest of my life wishing I had started earlier. Your father says nothing. He simply smiles before quietly closing the door. Years later, you will remember that smile more clearly than any grade you ever received. That night, you cannot sleep. You stand beside the bedroom window staring at the quiet city outside. You remember your first life. You remember believing you needed more motivation. Now you understand, motivation fades, discipline stays. You remember waiting until you felt ready. Now you know, nobody ever feels ready. The people who succeed simply begin before confidence arrives. Then, one question changes everything. What if this second chance is not about becoming rich? What if it is about becoming the person who deserves wealth before the money ever arrives? You close the notebook. Tomorrow, the real journey begins, and the first decision you make will quietly determine everything that happens next. The next morning feels completely ordinary. The same alarm, the same breakfast, the same walk to school. But you know something nobody else does. Every ordinary day hides one decision capable of changing an entire life. Most people never realize which decision it was until years later. You walk through the school entrance. Everyone is talking about a brand new phone someone bought over the weekend. Students gather around smiling and taking pictures. Last time you wanted that attention. This time you simply keep walking. You finally understand something your younger self never did. The people trying hardest to look successful are usually the ones who need everyone to believe they already are. Inside your classroom, you open a notebook instead of your social media. Across the top of the first page, you slowly write one sentence. Every dollar I save today is buying freedom for someone I have not become yet. You read that sentence again, then one more time. It no longer feels like a goal. It feels like a promise, and promises have a way of changing people long before the results appear. After school, you take the longer road home instead of paying for the bus. It only saves a few dollars each week. Years ago, you would have called that pointless. Today, you understand that small habits never stay small. They quietly grow until they become the reason two people with the same income end up living completely different lives. Weeks quietly pass. Your friends continue spending every paycheck before it even arrives. New shoes, new phones, expensive dinners, temporary excitement. You watch without judging because you remember doing exactly the same thing. Then one simple truth becomes impossible to ignore. Debt never begins with one expensive purchase. It begins with hundreds of tiny decisions that feel harmless in the moment. One afternoon, a close friend walks over with a huge smile. He says he has found the easiest way to make money. No hard work, no waiting, no patience, just fast profits. Years ago, those words would have controlled your decision, but now they sound different. You recognize the feeling immediately. It is not opportunity. It is impatience wearing the mask of opportunity. You politely shake your head and walk away. Your friend laughs. He tells you that you are scared. He tells you that people who wait never become rich. You do not argue, because experience has already taught you something confidence never could. Months later, the shortcut collapses. The easy money disappears overnight. The same people who laughed now stare silently at their phones, searching for answers that no longer exist. You never say, "I told you so." Real wisdom does not celebrate being right. It quietly remembers the price of learning the lesson the first time. That night, you sit alone in your room, counting every dollar you have saved. The amount is still small. Nobody would be impressed by it. But something inside you has already become priceless. For the first time, every dollar has a purpose before it has a destination. You stop asking what this money can buy. You begin asking what future this money can build. Every evening becomes another investment in yourself. While everyone else scrolls through endless videos, you open another book. You study investing, business, psychology, communication. At first, it feels like nothing is changing. Then you realize the biggest changes are always invisible before they become obvious. Every page teaches you something your future has already confirmed. Every hour compounds. Every lesson compounds. Every skill compounds. Success is no longer a dream. It becomes mathematics. One quiet evening, your father slowly opens your bedroom door. He notices another finance book on your desk. He smiles and asks why someone your age spends every night learning about money instead of simply enjoying life. You look at him for a moment before quietly answering, "Because I do not want to spend the rest of my life wishing I had started earlier." Your father says nothing. He simply nods before gently closing the bedroom door. Years later, you will remember that quiet smile more clearly than any report card you ever brought home. That night, sleep refuses to come. You stand beside your bedroom window watching the city lights flicker in the distance. Suddenly, you remember your first life. You remember believing you needed more motivation. Now you know motivation disappears. Discipline stays long after motivation is gone. You remember chasing perfect opportunities, waiting until everything felt right, waiting until you felt confident. Then you realize something that changes the way you see success forever. Nobody ever feels ready. The people who win simply begin before confidence arrives. Then one question quietly enters your mind. What if this second chance is not about becoming rich? What if it is about becoming the person who deserves wealth before the money ever arrives? The next morning, you make a decision that looks completely ordinary from the outside, but you already know ordinary decisions repeated for years create extraordinary lives. Without realizing it, you have just taken the first real step toward a future that almost nobody around you can imagine. From the outside, nothing has changed. You still wear the same clothes. You still walk the same streets. You still live in the same house. But inside your mind, something has finally awakened. The machine has started, and once it starts, it never truly stops. Months quietly turn into years. One afternoon, you finally open your investment account and press the buy button for the very first time. Your finger hesitates for just a second. You remember the fear that once controlled every financial decision you made. Then you smile and press confirm. The market falls the very next day. But this time, you do not panic. Because you finally understand the difference between gambling and investing. Years pass. While everyone else celebrates bigger paychecks, you celebrate something different. Better habits, better decisions, better skills. Then, one quiet evening, you open your portfolio and freeze. $100,000. There are no fireworks, no applause, just silence. For the first time in your life, that silence no longer sounds like fear. It sounds like freedom. Your investments continue to grow. $1 million eventually appears on the screen. Years ago, you believed that number would change your life overnight. Instead, you wake up the next morning exactly the same person. Then, you finally understand the greatest secret. Money was never the reward. The person you became while earning it was the real prize. Suddenly, the alarm rings. You open your eyes. You are back in your real life, back in your real room. The second chance is gone. For a moment, panic fills your chest. Then you smile, because the dream was never showing you another life. It was reminding you that your next decision can still change this one. And built one decision at a time, one book, one investment, one skill, one habit repeated every single day. If this story changed the way you think about money, subscribe because your next financial decision might be the one that changes your life forever. And before you leave, answer one question in the comments. If you could wake up at 18 again, what is the very first financial mistake you would never erase from your future?